A family vanished on the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail. It stretches over 2,000 miles, a winding path of both breathtaking beauty and brutal wilderness right through the heart of the eastern United States. Every year, millions of people see it as an adventure, a challenge to be conquered, or just a place to reconnect with nature. But the trail has a darker side. Its dense forests and remote ridges hold secrets. People get lost, people get hurt, and some, well, they just vanish. Now, while there are many documented cases of those who have disappeared in Appalachia, there's one story that persists, a modern legend you might hear whispered in online forums or around a crackling campfire. It's a story that has no official file, no concrete resolution, because it isn't a real, documented case. But it's a tale that burrows into your mind and refuses to let go. This is the fictional story of the Thompson family, and how a picture-perfect adventure became a haunting, unsolved mystery. For the Thompson family, it was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime, a week-long trek through the stunning beauty of the Appalachian Trail. They documented their journey online, sharing smiling photos and happy updates with friends and family. But then, the posts just stopped. Days turned into a week of radio silence. When search parties were finally sent out, they didn't find the family. What they found instead was an abandoned campsite, a cold fire pit, and a single, chilling note that would only make the mystery of what happened to the Thompson family even deeper. Section 1. The picture of a perfect life. To really get the weight of their supposed disappearance, you have to understand who the Thompsons were in this story. They were, by all accounts, the picture of a happy, modern American family. David, 42, a successful software engineer, was known for his meticulous planning and calm demeanor. He was the rock of the family, organizing their lives with the same precision he used for his code. His wife, Sarah, 40, was a freelance graphic designer, a vibrant, creative soul who brought color and fun into their home. She was the family storyteller, seeing the world through a lens of wonder. They were raising two bright, energetic kids. Lily, 14, was a budding photographer who was rarely seen without her vintage Polaroid camera. She had her mom's artistic eye and her dad's quiet focus. Her younger brother, Ben, 11, was a little force of nature, curious, always moving, and obsessed with wilderness survival shows. He didn't just see the hike as a vacation, but as his own personal expedition. The Thompsons lived in a quiet suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina. Their life was pretty normal: school plays, weekend soccer games, and family movie nights. But they all shared a passion that set them apart: a deep love for the outdoors. Almost every other weekend, they'd pack up their SUV for a day hike or a short camping trip. They'd already explored the hills of Uhori National Forest and summit peaks along the Blue Ridge Parkway. This trip, though, was different. It was bigger than anything they'd tried before: a 7-day, 60-mile trek on the Appalachian Trail through the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The park is the most visited in the country, a massive wilderness of over 500,000 acres. But its popularity hides its dangers. The terrain is rugged, the weather is notoriously fickle, and temperatures can swing wildly. A sunny afternoon down below can be a cold, rainy ordeal at a higher elevation. For David, the planner, this was the ultimate challenge. He spent months getting ready. He spread topographical maps across their dining room table, marking their route, campsites, and emergency exits. He bought top-of-the-line gear: lightweight tents, high-performance sleeping bags, and a sophisticated water filter. He even got a personal locator beacon, a device that could send an SOS with their GPS coordinates in a real emergency. He taught Lily and Ben how to use a compass, spot poison ivy, and what to do if they saw a black bear. Sarah, meanwhile, was getting ready in her own way. She started a blog for the trip called The Thompson Trail, complete with a cool logo she designed. The blog was for friends and family, a way to share their journey in almost real time. She promised daily updates, with Lily's photos and stories from Ben's adventures. Her first and only post before they left was buzzing with excitement, featuring a smiling family photo in their brand new hiking boots. The headline read, "The adventure of a lifetime begins." Friends and family later remembered that excitement. The Thompsons seemed closer than ever, totally united by this shared goal. They weren't just a family. They were a team, ready to take on the world. They were prepared, experienced, and thrilled. As they drove out of their neighborhood on a cool October morning, waving goodbye to a neighbor, everything seemed perfect. It's this image of a happy, ordinary family, so full of promise, that would later become a haunting backdrop to the chilling silence that followed. Section 2. The journey begins. As the story goes, the Thompsons started their hike on Monday, October 6, 2025. Their starting point was the newfound Gap parking lot, a busy spot in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The weather was perfect, crisp, clear autumn air with the fall colors just starting to pop. And the legend says that, true to her word, Sarah's first blog post from the trail went live that evening. It came with a photo, probably from Lily, of a trail sign for the Appalachian Trail, with the sun casting long, golden shadows through the trees. Sarah's post was upbeat and full of the day's little wins. Day 1. We're officially on the trail. The air up here is just different, cleaner, quieter. We logged a solid 7 miles today. Ben has already tried to identify at least 20 different types of trees and has declared himself the group's lead navigator, much to David's amusement. Lily has been snapping photos nonstop. She says the light is ethereal. We're all a little tired, but our spirits are soaring. Setting up camp now. The stars are starting to come out, and they look close enough to touch. More tomorrow. The post got a bunch of positive comments. It was exactly what everyone expected, the Thompsons thriving. The next day, Tuesday, another post. This one had a photo of Ben grinning like crazy, holding a salamander he'd found. Lily was in the background, making a face that was half disgust, half amusement. Day 2, another incredible day. The climbs were tougher today, but the views were worth every step. We stood on a ridge this afternoon and could see for what felt like forever. Ben has made a new friend, see attached photo, and Lily is perfecting her moody, artistic shots of mossy rocks. David is in his element, checking maps and making sure we're on schedule. He says we're making excellent time. My legs are sore, but my heart is full. This is everything we hoped it would be. Again, the post painted a picture of a family in sync, having a great time. They were doing everything right. Wednesday, day 3, another update. The photo was a stunning landscape, clearly one of Lily's, showing a valley filled with morning mist. Sarah's tone was a little more subdued, but still positive. Asterisk, day 3, woke up above the clouds this morning. It's hard to describe the feeling. We had a bit of rain in the afternoon, so we had to break out the wet weather gear. The trail got a little slick, but we took it slow and steady. Ben was disappointed he couldn't start a campfire tonight because of the damp, but David impressed him by cooking a surprisingly delicious meal on our little camp stove. Everyone is huddled in their sleeping bags now, listening to the rain on the tent. It's cozy, feeling very far away from everything. In a good way. Hashtag Appalachian Trail, hashtag into the wild, asterisk. This was the last post that felt totally normal. Looking back, some would say the line, feeling very far away from everything, once a peaceful thought, would later take on a much darker meaning. On Thursday, day 4, the morning post never came. At first, no one was worried. Cell service can be spotty. But when a post finally showed up late that afternoon, it was different. It was shorter, and the photo was strange. It was another one of Lily's artistic shots, but this one was a blurry close-up of a tree trunk with what looked like deep scratches in the bark. The lighting was dark, like it was taken deep in the forest. No smiling family, no beautiful view. Sarah's text was short and uncharacteristically flat. Asterisk, day 4. A long day. More rain. Everyone is tired. Asterisk. That was it. The vibrant, joyful voice of the blog was gone. The comments on this post started to show a little worry. Hope everything is okay. One friend wrote. A seed of concern had been planted. Friday, day 5, came and went with nothing. No post. No photos. Sarah's sister, Maria, tried texting and calling both Sarah and David. The messages didn't deliver. The calls went to voicemail. She tried to tell herself they were in a dead zone, or that the rain had messed with their electronics. David had a plan for everything. They were fine. But when Saturday passed with more silence, the excuses started to wear thin. This was the day they were supposed to hit a resupply point. Maria called the local post office. Their box of food was still there, waiting. Now, the concern turned into real fear. Maria called the National Park Service and reported her sister's family missing. The wilderness doesn't forgive mistakes, and it doesn't always give up its secrets. Real-life cases prove this. Geraldine Largay, a hiker who got lost on the trail in Maine in 2013, survived for 26 days before she died. Her remains found 2 years later. And then there's the heartbreaking mystery of Dennis Martin, a 6-year-old boy who vanished in the Great Smoky Mountains in 1969 during a family trip. Despite a massive search, no trace of him was ever found. With the fictional Thompson family now officially reported as missing, the search was about to begin. The world was about to find out just how far away from everything they had truly become. Section 3. The Silence and the Search. By Sunday morning, a full-scale search and rescue operation was supposedly underway. The National Park Service, rangers, and volunteers all mobilized. David's detailed itinerary became their guide, giving them a clear search area on the trail. But the weather was a huge problem. The rain had turned the trail into a muddy mess, and a thick fog grounded any helicopters. The forest floor, covered in wet leaves, was a blank slate, hiding any potential tracks. Teams moved slowly, calling out the family's names into a dense, dripping silence that just swallowed their voices. Day 1 of the search, nothing. It was unsettling. Usually, even people in trouble leave some kind of trace. On Monday, the search grew. The media caught on, and Family of 4 Vanishes on Appalachian Trail became a headline. Sarah's blog was now public, and everyone debated that last, weird post. What did the scratched bark mean? Was it a sign? A warning? Online, hikers and amateur detectives started buzzing with theories. Some figured the family just got lost. Others pointed to the darker side of the trail. While rare, violent crime isn't unheard of on the At. Since 1974, there have been a handful of murders that shatter the trail's peaceful image. Back in the Smokies, the teams pushed on. They finally got a small break when they talked to a solo hiker who remembered sharing a shelter with the Thompsons on Wednesday night. He confirmed Sarah's story of a rainy evening and said they seemed like a nice, normal family. He was the last known person to see them alive. He did add one strange detail. He remembered Ben being excited about a story his dad told him about the spear finger, a figure from old Cherokee legends. The hiker shrugged it off as a spooky campfire story. But with no other clues, every detail mattered. By Tuesday, desperation was setting in. But the weather finally broke. The fog lifted, and a helicopter was sent up. Late that afternoon, the pilot spotted it, a small splash of blue nylon, almost hidden by the trees. He radioed the coordinates. A ground team scrambled, trekking for 2 hours through dense, off-trail terrain. As they pushed through the last bit of foliage, they found it. The Thompson family's campsite. Section 4. The Discovery. The campsite was eerily quiet. What the search team in our story found was a scene of life, interrupted. 2 high-quality tents were perfectly pitched. Inside one, for sleeping bags were unrolled, as if their owners had just stepped out. The backpacks were all lined up neatly under a vestibule. Nearby, a fire pit was cold, but it looked like it had been deliberately put out. A camp stove stood next to a pot with dried pasta still in it. For bowls and sporks were stacked, as if ready to be washed. It was a scene of perfect order, a testament to David's meticulous nature. But that perfect order was just wrong. There was no sign of a struggle. No torn fabric, no scattered food. All their expensive gear was there. Hiking poles, rain jackets, the water filter. Their wallets, with cash and credit cards, were in a backpack. So were their cell phones and the personal locator beacon. The one device designed for a worst-case scenario. It hadn't been activated. This was maybe the most baffling part. If they were in trouble, David would have used it. The fact that it was just sitting there suggested whatever happened wasn't a typical wilderness emergency. Or it happened so fast he never got the chance. The team treated the area like a crime scene. They found Lily's Polaroid camera. They looked through her photos, the beautiful landscapes, Ben with the salamander, and then the darker, more recent shots. There was the blurry picture of the scratched tree from the blog. And then, there was one more photo that hadn't been posted online. It was the last picture Lily ever took. It was out of focus, shot at a weird, low angle, like it was snapped in a hurry. It just showed the tree canopy against a gray sky. But in the top corner, partly hidden by leaves, was a small, blurry shape. It was impossible to tell what it was. It could have been anything. But given everything, the photo felt deeply sinister. The team searched the area around the campsite, but the wet ground held no footprints. It was like they simply walked away and vanished into the woods. And then, a ranger doing a final check of the tents found it. Placed carefully on top of David's neatly folded map was a single page torn from Sarah's journal. On it was a handwritten note. It wasn't a plea for help. It wasn't an explanation. It was just 5 words, written in Sarah's calm, looping script that would turn this from a tragic story into a chilling mystery. Section 5, the note. The discovery of the note sent a wave of confusion through the entire fictional investigation. It was written on a sheet of paper from Sarah's journal, and the handwriting was definitely hers. It seemed neat, almost calm. The note was placed right in the center of David's map and weighted down with a small river stone. This wasn't accidental. It was a message meant to be found. The note had only 5 words. 5 words that offered no answers and no hope. It said, asterisk, don't look for us. We're finally free. Asterisk, don't look for us. Asterisk, a direct command to stop. It suggested this was a choice. Asterisk, we're finally free. Asterisk, free from what? Their happy life? Society? Or something they found in the woods? The word free was terrifying. It could mean a spiritual release, a statement of peace after a planned tragedy. Or it could be a message written under duress, with a hidden meaning. The note blew the case wide open, creating several competing theories. The first was a planned disappearance. Did the Thompsons fake the whole thing? Was their perfect life a lie? It's possible, but it doesn't quite fit. Why the elaborate hiking trip? Why leave their money and IDs behind? And why drag the kids into a life on the run? Friends and family insisted they would never do that. The second theory was much darker, a family tragedy. It suggests that one or both parents, hiding a deep despair, led their family into the woods to die. Here, finally free, would mean an escape from worldly pain. The tidy campsite could be a final act of control. But again, it clashed with everything known about the Thompsons. No known financial troubles, no marital problems, no history of mental illness. The third theory is the one that online forums loved, but even investigators in the story couldn't totally dismiss it. This theory says the family ran into an external threat. Maybe they stumbled upon something illegal. The note could have been dictated to Sarah by their captors to throw off the search. Don't look for us would be a threat. This would at least explain why the locator beacon was never used. In our story, the note and the other evidence were sent to the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. The agents would try to build a psychological profile of Sarah. Was she acting on her own? Was she calm? Or was she terrified? But the note was a perfect puzzle. It gave no answers, only deeper questions. The search for the Thompson family would continue, but those 5 words changed everything. The hope of finding them alive was fading, replaced by a dread that the truth was far stranger than anyone could imagine. The mystery of what happened to the Thompson family is one of the most perplexing tales in Appalachian lore. The strange clues they left behind in this story have fueled countless theories, but no answers. Before we get into the official investigation and those theories, what do you think happened to the Thompsons? Was it a planned escape, a tragic end, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments. Section 6. The Investigation. With the campsite and the note, the fictional case of the Thompson family turned into a full-blown criminal investigation, led by the FBI. The forest was now a potential crime scene. Forensic teams combed the area, bagging every item and taking soil samples. The scratches on the tree from Lily's photo were a key focus. Experts couldn't match them to any known animal or tool. They were an anomaly. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit dug deep into the Thompsons' lives, but found nothing. Their lives were exactly what they seemed, stable and happy. There were no cracks in the facade because, as far as anyone could tell, there was no facade. The note was analyzed again. The handwriting was calm, which didn't rule out psychological coercion. The phrase, "finally free," was unsettling. It often appears in suicide notes, but Sarah's note was cold and sterile, lacking any emotion. It was a statement, not a goodbye. Investigators in the story turned back to Sarah's blog and found something crucial. The IP address from the fourth and final post, the short, strange one, pinged from a cell tower miles away from their supposed location. It was deeper in the wilderness, in an area with no official trails. This proved that on day 4, the family had strayed far from David's meticulous plan. But why? Did they get lost? Unlikely for a hiker like David. Were they forced off the trail? This seemed more plausible now. The investigation hit a wall. Despite a massive search, no physical evidence of the Thompsons themselves was ever found. Search dogs lost their scent a few hundred yards from the campsite. Public fascination grew. The blurry photo from Lily's camera was endlessly analyzed online, with people claiming to see faces or figures in the static. The FBI said the image was too low quality to be useful, but that didn't stop the speculation. Months turned into a year. The investigation went cold. The wilderness of the Great Smoky Mountains had swallowed them whole, leaving behind a perfect campsite and a single, maddening note. The official investigation had failed, leaving only theories. Section 7. The Theories. When the facts end, speculation begins. In the story of the Thompson family, 3 main theories emerged. Theory 1. The planned disappearance. This is the theory that the family staged the whole thing to escape their lives. The note, "Don't look for us," is the primary evidence. In this scenario, the Thompsons hiked off trail to a secret pickup spot where an accomplice was waiting. But the arguments against this are strong. They had no reason to run, and creating 4 new identities is nearly impossible. More importantly, would loving parents subject their children to a life on the run, cut off from everything they knew? Everyone who knew them said no. Theory 2. Murder. This is the most tragic theory. It suggests that one of the parents, suffering from a hidden mental health crisis, led their family into the woods with a horrifying plan. The orderly campsite could be a sign of a disturbed mind imposing control, and the note, "We're finally free," a release from pain. This would explain why they were never found. The park is vast enough to hide a secret forever. The main argument against this theory is the complete lack of any warning signs. To believe it, you have to believe one of the parents was a master of hiding a dangerous psychosis behind a mask of normalcy. It's a chilling thought. Theory 3. Foul play and Appalachian legends. This is where the story veers into folklore. It proposes the Thompsons were victims. Maybe they stumbled upon a drug operation or encountered a dangerous person. The Appalachian Trail has had documented cases of violent individuals. In this version of events, the family was forced off the trail, and the note was dictated by their captor to slow down the search. This theory explains the unused beacon and the sudden change in their route. A more fringe version of this theory ties the disappearance to the region's folklore. The Appalachians are full of legends about strange creatures. Some point to Ben's interest in the Spearfinger legend as foreshadowing. Others connect the tree scratches and the blurry photo to local tales of Bigfoot-like creatures. Of course, law enforcement in the story would dismiss these ideas, but they're a huge part of why the Thompson family has become a modern legend. In the end, these are all just stories trying to make sense of facts that refuse to add up. Years have passed since the fictional Thompson family vanished. Their story is now officially a cold case, a collection of haunting questions with no answers. The search was called off, and the forest has reclaimed their last known location. The story of the Thompsons has become a cautionary tale whispered among hikers, a reminder of the trail's real dangers. Not just the physical ones, but the profound isolation and the terrifying ease with which someone can simply disappear. What really happened to David, Sarah, Lily, and Ben in this tale? Did they escape a life no one knew they hated? Did they fall victim to a sudden, terrible despair? Or did they cross paths with something malevolent in the deep woods? The evidence left behind is a series of paradoxes, a perfect plan gone wrong, an orderly campsite abandoned in chaos, and a 5-word message that is both a riddle and a curse. Perhaps the truth is something no one has even considered. The only certainty is the silence left by a family that walked into the wilderness and never walked out. The silence of the forest that holds their secret. And the silence of the 5 words they left behind. Don't look for us. We're finally free. Whatever that freedom meant, they seem to have found it, leaving the rest of us to forever wonder. The fictional case of the Thompson family remains one of the most compelling and frustrating unsolved mysteries in modern trail lore. It's a story that highlights the fragility of our seemingly secure lives and the enduring power of the unknown. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of a modern legend. Stay curious and stay safe.